I probably could have healed my chronic anxiety, insomnia, nerve pain, and all of my other physical symptoms a lot faster than I did. I know for most of you, healing feels like it's taking way too long. It's exhausting. I completely understand that because I was there too. A lot of my symptoms that were caused by a sensitized nervous system lasted well over a decade. And a lot of that time, unfortunately, was focusing on the wrong things and following paths that were always leading to dead ends, and then engaging in a lot of things that just kept me stuck. I see a lot of you doing these same things, and honestly, it is hard to watch because I did those same things as well. And now that I'm on the other side, there are some things that I'm going to tell you in this video that I wish someone had told me. Everyone's symptoms and severity are different, so everyone's timeline is going to be different. I can't guarantee a specific timeline. But what I can promise you is this: if you identify with anything I'm going to talk about in this video, you can absolutely speed up the time it takes for you to get better. I have had student after student reaching out to me to tell me they are making significant progress in a matter of a month or two. And the truth is that you can't get out of doing this work. You can only delay it. And everything I'm about to cover is exactly what was putting off healing for me. Most of the things that slow people down, and slowed me down especially, were things rooted in doubt and reassurance seeking. So we have all of this doubt around whether we're on the right path, whether it's working, whether we're doing it right. And one of the things about doubt is that when it shows up, we want to make it go away. We want to feel better. We want to feel more confident. And when you go looking to feel better, when you're feeling uncomfortable, that is reassurance seeking. And the worst thing about reassurance seeking is that it's temporary. You will find that it is not long before you are seeking even more reassurance because the initial reassurance didn't really scratch that itch. The reassurance seeking will take the edge off, but it will never fully eradicate whatever doubt you were experiencing. And then it comes back and you do it again and again and again. And it can keep you very busy because, as I'll talk about in this video, there are many ways that we seek that reassurance, which is a way to feel better. And one of the problems is that a lot of people are speaking about the importance of reassurance on the healing journey. So I understand this is going to be contradictory information, but if you relate to me in the way I share about what I've gone through, this is very uniquely specific for people like us. Because for people who maybe aren't quite as sensitized or don't run on that anxious setting or that OCD thinking setting, they may be able to ask someone something and someone says, "Don't worry, you're fine," or "There's nothing structurally wrong here, it's just your nervous system," and they'll go, "Oh, okay, you're right." Those people actually tend to get better very, very quickly because they get rid of the doubt so quickly. They don't get caught in these loops like people like you and people like me. So for people like us, reassurance seeking is not something we are interested in doing at all. So let's talk about some of the things that feel like we're making progress, but aren't actually making progress. The first is watching videos or podcasts compulsively every time you experience a symptom flare-up. Another thing is DMing every coach that you can find on the internet asking about your specific symptoms. I get probably 40 or more DMs every single day of someone asking me about their specific situation. If I answered all those questions, it would be a full-time job in and of itself. Another thing that people do is that they jump from program to program, coach to coach. They're never even implementing anything long enough to see if it would actually work. Or you're constantly analyzing your symptoms and running through the filter with Western medicine and Eastern medicine and trying this and that and acupuncture and supplements, and you're just really all over the place. And all of these things kind of group into never choosing one path to follow. And I will explain exactly why that is in a minute. It's not that any of these things are wrong in and of themselves, but most of the time they're being driven from this compulsive need to scratch that itch of doubt. It's anything that you can do, even in the moment, even temporarily, to feel just a little bit better so you don't have to fully be with what is. And if you're in this loop of feeling uncomfortable and then doing something to make it go away, that becomes an avoidance behavior. And that is what keeps you stuck. We also have to talk about why experiencing an uptick in symptoms makes this exponentially worse. When something flares, all of that gets louder. That need to DM someone really quick, or put on a video, or put on a podcast, or text your mom, or start looking in a Facebook group to find a random doctor in Texas that could possibly help you. hi, did that. But your brain is trying to make sense of the fact that you started doing this program or you started implementing this thing, and then the symptoms got louder. And so that must mean that we need to hit the drawing board again. We need to figure out what's going on. Is this normal? Is this to be expected? Why is this happening? That need for someone to say, you're okay, you're safe, you're fine. Only even when someone does say that, we don't believe them, because we are stuck in that sensitized loop. And I want to say this very clearly, like experiencing a symptom, having a flare is not evidence that something has gone wrong. That is 100% part of the process. Now, even what I just said could be considered reassurance. And whether or not you believe me is totally up to you and your nervous system. But even when someone looks you dead in the face and says, this is normal, it is to be expected, it is part of the process, and it is not a sign that something has gone wrong, when you are in the moment and those symptoms flare, your brain does not believe that. That is why this is such a challenging process. And remember, if our response matters so much, then every time you respond to your symptoms with focus, fear, fixing, attention, you are reinforcing that there is a problem to fix. AKA, you are continuing to wire these symptoms into your brain. And that is going to make everything harder, not easier. We are inadvertently making everything a lot harder on ourselves because we're trying to find temporary relief. But that temporary relief is leading to long-term pain and suffering because we're wiring in an experience that we do not want to be having. Your life is not supposed to be built around healing. And I mean that even when you're in the middle of healing, your entire life is not supposed to be meant to be based around healing. It's not meant to be spent all this time online consuming content, learning about it, getting deeper, getting more education, commenting on everyone's videos, being so deeply involved in the experience of someone who has chronic symptoms. That becomes our identity. It becomes everything we eat, sleep, breathe, pain, symptoms, support groups, content. It becomes this vortex of whatever we're experiencing. We have to start providing a different input. And when it becomes the thing that everything in your life revolves around, it becomes yet another way that we are avoiding doing the actual work because we're spending so much time learning about and knowing about and talking about what healing is, what healing takes, what has to happen. But we're not actually doing those things. We're learning about doing those things. Those two things are not the same. So things like content, podcasts, books, even coaching, those things are meant to support you. They are not meant to become a brand new coping mechanism. I want you to see any content, any support, anything external that you're absorbing or focusing on, I want you to see that as 10% of the total equation. The other 90% is implementation. And I've been asked on more than one occasion of someone saying, it seems like maybe even watching your content would be a problem, or respectfully, what about your videos? And I have told them more than one occasion, I'm included in this. I am not any exception. If you turn on my videos every time you're feeling uncomfortable, if you compulsively watch the same videos again and again and again, then yes, I am included in this as well. Because it does get to a place where you have way more than enough information to begin and to get started and to get going. And consuming things just becomes another thing that delays doing the work. So my advice is to pick one path and shut out the noise from any other path and stay focused on that and do what resonates with you, whatever that is. It doesn't necessarily have to be what I'm teaching. It's just this decision to say, I'm going to shut everything else out and I'm going to make sure I focus on this and I'm going to focus on implementing it. Now, I obviously have recommendations just after a life of failing at getting better for so long that I believe that it can be very helpful to avoid tools for a while and to really work on a changed response, because that's the main thing that updates this wiring in the brain. It's something that a lot of people delay and avoid because it's not comfortable. It's more comfortable to visualize a positive future. It's more comfortable to journal about things that happened to you in the past. And by that, I mean, it's easier than having a flare-up of symptoms and being like, this is the moment I have to do something different if I want this to change. It's more challenging work, yes, but it's also more effective work. It's more straight to the point work, which is why it's what I talk about and what I recommend. When I started my journey, I cut out everything that wasn't directly applicable to what I had chosen. Concepts around acceptance and around allowing and around getting back into your life and around joy and creating a life that you want to participate in. That was my focus. I stopped learning from everybody. I stopped taking in information that I was never going to use and never had used. I decided that there was a way that resonated with me most to heal. There was a path that was different than everything else that I had tried that didn't work. And I was going to kind of put my head down and get to work. I had learned enough and I knew that. And you have to get to that point for yourself as well, where you say, I've got this. I could probably teach a college class on it, but I don't have the evidence that it works for me. And that's what I need to go out and create now. Some people need a 100% clean break from any content. You have to know yourself if that's you. Sometimes it's like you need to shut it all out. And don't be surprised at how refreshing that can be. I frequently take social media breaks where I'm out of social media for an entire weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You might see that things are a lot more clear in your brain when it doesn't have to constantly make sense of everyone's content and everyone's message and conflicting information out there. That's kind of overwhelming. It's exhausting and it's frustrating to try to make sense of it all. And eventually we have to say, okay, I know enough. I know enough to get started. And this process is going to take as long as it's going to take. I have a respect for that. I do. And if you're like me, you may be someone whose personality type for some reason needs to learn things the hard way and needs to exhaust every option before you finally surrender. And if that's your path, I understand that. We can drag this out as long as we choose. But it's important to ask yourself when you're listening to content, am I listening to this from a grounded place or from a place where I do feel like I need to orient real quick, but then I will be getting out in my life? Or am I watching this because I'm completely unwilling to be with what's here right now? Because that's a shift that has to be made if you want to get better. You have to be willing to see what's there for you and allow it to be there, accept that this is your reality right now, and then get back out to doing the things that are restorative to you. It can be helpful to ask yourself these 3 questions. The first one is, do I understand what's going on with my body right now? Now, I don't mean, do I have absolutely no doubt, but I mean like, do a gut check. Is what you're experiencing related to a sensitized nervous system? Do you have chronic symptoms? Have they gone on longer than 6 months? Do they move around and do weird things? Do you have new symptoms popping up all of the time? Can a doctor either not help you or the treatments they're giving you aren't even working? Do you deal with chronic fear and anxiety? Do you have a history that would explain why you deal with chronic fear and anxiety? If so, nervous system sensitization is absolutely at play here. The second question is, do you have a sense of what the path forward looks like? Even if that's just with what I talk about on my channel, the concepts of acceptance, the concepts of allowing what's there to be there without your interference. And then the third question is, have you been applying these principles and this work consistently? If you answered yes to the first 2 questions, you have the information that you need. You are able today to get started. Sometimes people will tell me, like, I've had these symptoms for 8 months, or I've had this going on. How long are these symptoms going to be here? How long is this going to last? And the truth is that it doesn't actually matter how long you've had symptoms for. It doesn't matter that each day keeps passing, because just because days are passing does not mean that you're healing or moving toward recovery. For many of us, for me, in my experience, I was just getting one day closer to the day where I finally said, enough. I'm going to do this seriously. I'm going to surrender. I'm going to release control. I'm going to stop thinking that there's some type of nervous system regulation tool that is going to change this. I have to change. I have to fundamentally change the way that I relate to myself, the way that I relate to life circumstances, and most importantly, in this moment, the way that I relate to the symptoms and the experience that I'm having in my body from moment to moment. So I'm going to give you some really practical next steps here. The next time something really uncomfortable pops up, I don't care if it's a symptom, if it's a sensation, if it's a thought, if it's a difficult emotion, and you feel this urge inside of you to look something up, to reach out to someone, to ask someone something, just don't. I know that seems oversimplified, but it's challenging. It's something people really struggle with. I want you to just work on allowing it to be there, no matter what happens. I like to tell people, let it rage. Let it rage in the background. Take it and stick it in your purse or your backpack, put that on your back and get on with your day. This advice alone has been absolutely life-changing for many people that I've talked to and people that have worked with my course and watched my videos. It's so simple that I don't think we can realize how profound it is until we have the experience of seeing that we are okay even when we don't jump in to fix things, even when we don't jump in to soothe or to comfort or to fix or to ask for someone to make it feel better for us. We get to a point where we realize that those things don't even work. They aren't efficient. They aren't effective for people like us who have these extremely sensitized, anxious brains. And please fully expect that your nervous system is going to push back. It's going to push back because you're doing something different than you've ever done before. That is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. That is not a sign to quit. That is not a sign to go figure something else out. If at the first moment of discomfort, you redirect your path, you are taking a lot of detours, my friend. And you can call me the queen of detours. I took every detour on the map and I'm stubborn and I had to learn this the hard way. And my belief is the reason why I figured out all these ways that don't work is so that I can somehow be a guide to other people on their path to help them make a straighter shot, maybe not direct, but a straighter shot to a place where they feel healed and where they feel like they have their life back and where they feel like they're grateful for the experience that they went through. So please know, you can do this on your own. You can. You don't need anything else to get better and recover. And if you can, please go for it. Do it. I'm seriously cheering you on. I'm excited for you because I know that you can get your life back. And if that's not you, and you have not been able to break out of this loop, and you keep finding that you're just falling back into the same patterns again and again with the distraction and the reassurance and compulsive behaviors that are keeping you stuck, that is exactly who I made my course for. I made it for the me of the past, the me that felt like every program and everything that I looked into and tried to do for myself wasn't made for someone like me. It was like there was a gap for the type of brain that I had and the way that I didn't need more focus on my body. I couldn't stop focusing on my body. I didn't need tools and techniques that kept me in my head and out of my life. I needed something direct. I needed something straightforward, specific, that reminded me when I needed those reminders, but more so focused on getting me back into my life. And if that's you, that's exactly who I built this course for. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.